Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Stuart Vener's been on my program before. He's very savvy on what's happening in the business and home front. Always a lot of stuff happening. We were looking pretty hot and robust. Still looks fairly good. But then, of course, they raised really interest rates by a point when it came for home buying. And it seemed to me put a little bit of a chill, but it may be a healthy chill. Who knows? Stuart, maybe you can help us navigate through that. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Kevin.
Glad to have you back on.
My pleasure.
Kind of give us a feel for what's happening out there in the real estate front.
Well, things are appearing to recover, and you hear that things are recovering and sales are robust. But what is kind of interesting is even though sales are up, sales to homeowners are actually down, considerably lower than they were in other times. And I think that's really because you have so many investors out there and these big hedge funds buying up entry-level homes that it makes it kind of competitive and very difficult for a family or first-time home buyer trying to get into the market.
So it's creating the potential situation where your first home may end up being what would normally be a second home, your second home in your home buying process.
Yes, or you would trade it up typically for a bigger home, but it's getting hard to compete with these hedge funds. And then when you do get the home, typically a healthy real estate market requires turnover. I mean, even though you might get a 30-year mortgage, what are you going to live there? Maybe 5, 6 years,
right?
7 years, and then you move up to a bigger house. But if you've qualified at a 3 to 4% mortgage, and that was just squeaking by maybe, which most of us are today, then when you go to sell it, that same cost of credit is going to require that you have maybe 40% more income. So, that's assuming interest rates are going to go up, and I don't think the Feds are going to continue this quantitative easement of pumping $80 billion a month into mortgage securities. So at some point, it's already starting to dry up, and you're seeing interest rates go up a little bit. So if you get a 6.5% interest, which is still a good mortgage from what it used to be.
Yeah. Historically speaking, it's really good. People for many years had double-digit interest rates they were paying on their home.
Oh, no question. I bought my first home in 1970, I believe, and I was able to assume a mortgage with an interest rate of 6.5%, and I thought that was the greatest thing out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about what people need to be thinking about while navigating through this process.
Okay, well, that's a good point, and this is important, because if you're out there trying to buy the first home, you are in a competitive situation, especially on a bank-owned property where there's so much of it out there. You're not dealing with an emotional seller. They just want to turn it over. They want to get what they can, as much as they can, and they don't care who buys it. They just don't care. Yeah, and it seems like people are having a hard time coming up with the cash to make these deals happen anyway. That's right. So, when the bank is selling it, they don't care if you have a cash buyer or someone that is getting a loan, as long as they know they have a firm sale. So when you're going to buy that home, have your loan in place. You can be pre-approved for X number of dollars, so you know what you can have, and you know that all you need to do then is plug in the property. And if the property is worth $150,000, I'm just picking a number, Kevin. So if it's worth $150,000, and you've got these other giant funds buying it, maybe they'll buy it for $140,000, but the bank would just as soon sell it to you for $140,000. They don't care, or $145,000. Don't offer $80,000. Don't offer $100,000. Because it's stupid. They're just not going to take the offer. And try to do all your homework first before you make the offer, so you come in with as little contingencies as possible, because you're bidding against a fund that maybe Warren Buffett owns, and he's saying, here, it's a cash sale, we close in 10 days. Yeah. What is it about investors and their all of a sudden massive interest in this arena? Is it because of how weird Wall Street is? Talk a little bit about that. Well, what I think you're looking at is a real good opportunity for these investors. But that could backfire, too. But right now it looks like they're going to buy these homes at wholesale prices compared to what they were 5, 6 years ago. And their thought is to maybe rent them for a year or two and then flip them for a big profit. Now, the one thing when I said that could backfire is you have no emotion. I mean, it's not like a seller, someone who owns their own home. So if things start to turn sour, interest rates go up, things can happen. These investors will be the first ones to bail. So that could cause a potential burst bubble again. I mean, they're like stocks. When they go into the stock market, things go bad, they cut their losses and they dump it.
Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts in terms about going forward, and what do you think about individuals who have long been interested in looking at the investment side of real estate going into that arena? Do you think it's good now, or is it too loaded with too many players? What's your thoughts?
Well, there are a lot of players, but I think historically, even through this last crisis we've been through, real estate is a good investment. Mm-hmm. I personally have lost on my own investments on paper, but I haven't lost cash because I bought them a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And I'm still way ahead of the game. And I think people, if you're buying investment property, you buy for the long term. If you get lucky and maybe you can make a quick profit, consider it dumb luck. But if you buy for 10 years in the future, then you're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Very good, very good. Always enjoy having you on. You always bring a lot of insight into what's happening out there in the real estate front. Where can I catch you besides occasionally as a guest here?
Well, I have a website, realtycrisis.com, or anyone can call me at 877-94-HELP-ME.
Yeah, do you do radio? Do you have a show of your own?
I have a show. It's just a weekly show, and we get into some interesting subjects too.
Yeah. People need to check that out. Realtycrisis.com. That's realtycrisis.com. As always, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Kevin. Have a wonderful day.
You too. When we come back, more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com.